You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 25th day of February, 2026. Thanks for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room. So to get in there, you have to be one of our traders or taking your 1-week free trial. If you have not taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us in about an hour, he'll walk you through the simple steps to sign up for the trial. It'll take about 3 minutes of your time. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today, and there's no credit card required. Your trial will officially start tomorrow morning and run all the way through next Wednesday afternoon. The weekends do not count against you. 5 consecutive trading days with access not only to the live training room, but to everything we offer, everything we do. You see, we go to work Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's when the Globex markets open. And we work literally around the clock till Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. So while you're on the trial, yes, you will be able to gain access to the live training room each day for 2 hours, but you'll also have access to the logic alerts, the CTA alerts, the weekly trading zones, the discussion group and Telegram, all that and so much more. In fact, we just treat you like you were actually a member for 5 days. The purpose is so that at the end of your trial, you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. So again, top of the hour, Michael will join us for a recap of what happened in the live training room, do a little live trading as time and the markets permit. So be sure and stick around because he's also going to show you how to take the trial. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. That's everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There are 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only got to do it once. Go here to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link, so at 12 noon Eastern, just click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit there is you'll have access right away to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Now, there will be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy, so you can't join live, but you do want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, and you don't need to. But it's a great resource to have at your fingertips because it does allow you to see how we've evolved over all these years, day by day by day. youtube.com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen, you'll see our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. We already talked about Michael joining us at the top of the hour for the recap of the live training room this morning. So for now, we'll start with our daily devotional. That's where we start this broadcast each and every day. After that, we'll move on to the numbers from around the world. Then we'll take a look at the news, and then we'll go through the charts, market by market. We're on a new topic. I think we're in day 4. God, where are you? Our scripture today is Genesis 16:7 through 10, and I'll share it with you from the NIV translation. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur. And he said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going? I'm running away from my mistress Sarai, she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. The angel added, I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. Again, that was Genesis 16, verses 7 through 10. Have you ever felt unseen? There's nothing quite as disconcerting as feeling like nobody sees you or cares about your struggles. It leaves you wondering if even God notices you. Hagar knew this feeling intimately. Now, Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. That's Genesis 16:1. As Abraham's Egyptian slave, she had no voice and no rights. Forced to become a surrogate mother when Sarah jumped ahead of God's plan, Hagar quickly became a victim of abuse. When conflict erupted, Hagar responded by running away. On her journey, she found herself sitting alone by a desert spring, dejected and hopeless. It was there that she encountered the living God. And he said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going? Notice that God called Hagar by name in Genesis 16:8. To him, she mattered. Her struggles had not escaped his notice, and he encouraged her when she needed it most. God's tender treatment moved Hagar to become the first person in Scripture to give God a name, El Roi. She gave this name to the Lord, who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." Genesis 16:13. Hagar's transformation is remarkable. She enters as a victim of others' schemes, but emerges as a witness to God's character. The outcast becomes an oracle, declaring divine truth that reveals no one is too marginalized for God's personal attention. Hagar's story carries profound significance. Her son Ishmael became known as the father of the Arab nations, demonstrating that God's promises extend beyond Abraham's covenant family. In Genesis 21:13, we read, "I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring." This encounter foreshadows the gospel reaching all peoples, including the descendants of Ishmael. God sees those who are oppressed, marginalized, and alone. He knows their pain and cares for them. There is not a single person whose plight is hidden from him. No matter where they live or what injustice they face. So take a moment today to thank El Roi, the God who sees. He is making himself known to those who wait in darkness, bringing healing to the nations, just as he has done from the beginning. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you that you see us even in our wildest moments, when we feel lost or alone. Remind us that your presence is near and your promises are sure. Guide our steps, restore our hope, and help us trust in your plans for our lives. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen. Happy Wednesday. Now, I said we would go to the numbers from around the world. I got some news, though, I want to share with you first, just one piece. I'm not going to call it breaking news because it was published, I think, an hour ago, probably a little more. But I did suggest yesterday that I wouldn't put it past President Trump to strike Iran, just a little tiny strike, to get their attention ahead of these upcoming talks. Well, he didn't strike. He baited the hook, though, during the State of the Union address, and Iran bit. They bit hard. And as a result, this morning, Iran lashed out after President Trump put the regime on notice in his State of the Union address, delivering a forceful warning about Tehran's ambitions, while world leaders largely stayed silent in the immediate aftermath of the speech. A lot of no balls in the world today. Speaking amid the largest deployment of U.S. aircraft and warships to the Middle East since the 2003 Iraq war buildup, Trump said he wanted to resolve tensions with Iran through diplomacy, while accusing Tehran of expanding its missile capabilities. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, he said, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy, Trump added. But you see, you can't have a diplomatic agreement with someone that doesn't want to be diplomatic. Trump went on to say they want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. And even if they said it, you can't trust them. Trump says, but one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen. Trump argued that previous U.S. action, including Operation Midnight Hammer, that was the strike back in June, had severely degraded Iran's capabilities, but warned the threat had not disappeared. We wiped it out, and now they've started it all over again and are at this moment pursuing their sinister ambitions. Tehran sharply rejected Trump's claims about its missile and nuclear programs. No surprise. According to the AP, Iranian officials characterized U.S. statements as propaganda, while stopping short of closing the door on diplomacy ahead of the Geneva talks. The Times of India reported that Iranian officials warned that any U.S. military strike, even a limited one, would be treated as aggression and met with a decisive response. What are you going to respond with? The exchange underscored the widening gap between public rhetoric and ongoing diplomatic efforts as Washington and Tehran prepared for another round of nuclear talks in Geneva. But based on their statement, I would say those talks are off the table. The president didn't say that. But what do you think? What's the point? They've made it clear. They're not going to stop. You obliterate everything they've done, and what do? They just start over. They're like little army ants. They don't know any other way to live. But guess what? The Iranian people, they don't go along with these mullahs and their propaganda. They're rioting in the streets. Thousands have been shot. Thousands have been shot in their hospital beds, recovering from the injuries they received in the streets at the hands of the Iran's Revolutionary Guard. If I were the president, and I'm not, I would give everyone in Iran 72 hours to get out of Tehran, and then I would erase Tehran. Period. It's a good thing I'm not God, right? All right, let's do the numbers from around the world, and then we'll get to the other news. It's pretty important because while we have no more econ reports scheduled for today, that would be some very high impact news if all of a sudden you get one of those breaking news things on you. Remember back in the old days when they actually had breaking news and they would interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to deliver the news? Now the news just goes on around the clock. Blah, 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 blah. So, anyway. Okay, numbers from around the world. Starting here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. After last night's incredible State of the Union address, the Dow's up 250 points. NASDAQ's up 258, a little over 1%. S&P 500 is up 48. And the Russell 2000, our man of the street, is up 7. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 11 cents, trading 66.52 last. Gold up $58.30, trading $5,234.50 last. That's a gain of over 1%. Silver up $3.31, make that 33 cents. Trading 90.84 last. That's a gain of almost 4%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 1,262 points. That's a gain of over 2%. Shanghai rose 29. The Hang Seng gained 175. And in the European markets, at the close, FTSE up 125, almost 1.25%. The DAX up 189, almost 1%. The CAC up 39. So, after the greatest State of the Union speech in history, in my opinion, we had a green day in Asia. It was a green day for the UK. And it is a big green Radio Wednesday here in the US of A. Let's go to the news. Over 500,000 homes and businesses remain without power after winter storm Hernando dumped over 2 feet of snow in the northeastern United States earlier this week. More winter weather is expected from the Great Lakes to the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast in the coming days. Roads, mass transportation, and schools began reopening yesterday as shovelers and snowplows work to get ahead of the incoming storm. In New York, Mayor Mamdani raised the starting hourly rate for emergency shovelers from $19.14 to $30. Oh, is he finding out that there's certain people that don't want to work? That's a pretty hefty increase from less than $20 to $30 to try to get somebody to come shovel the snow. He can't even get the trash picked up. About 20 inches of snow fell in Central Park, its 9th highest total on record. Meanwhile, Providence, Rhode Island received 32.8 inches in roughly one day, breaking the previous record of 28.6 inches that fell over 2 days back in 1978. Hernando was a bomb cyclone, a storm system that intensifies over 24 hours as cold air clashes with warm air, causing pressure to drop rapidly. And what's even funnier about New York and Mamdani, and it's really hard to find anything funny there, not only has he had to hike the price to get somebody to come out and shovel the snow, you got to have 2 forms of ID. Now, from a guy who believes that one of the most sacred acts an American can take is to show up and vote, no ID. That would be discriminatory. But if you want to shovel snow for make that $30 an hour now, because nobody showed up, I guess. Make sure you bring 2 pieces of ID. One of them got to have a picture on it. But when it comes time to vote, we don't care who you are. You're a warm body, you can fog the mirror. There, just tick everything with a D beside it. But I don't speak English. I can't read this. That's okay. Just tick every box where you see a D after the person's name. Piece of cake, right? Well, for a show I have never watched because because the whole premise I did not find interesting. Survivor. The 50th season premieres tonight on CBS with longtime host Jeff Probst, featuring 24 contestants, the largest cast in the show's history, competing for the $1 million prize. The golden season brings back original players and fan favorites to Fiji's Mamanuca Islands. Survivor first aired back in 2000 with contestants stranded on a remote island, competing in stupid challenges while voting each other off the island to become the sole survivor. The show quickly became a cultural phenomenon, paving the way for other reality TV programs like The Amazing Race, Big Brother, and The Bachelor. Not on my playlist. The show has since become gamified, with players trying to outwit and blindside their opponents. Over 50 million people tuned in to watch Richard Hatch claim the title of sole survivor in the first season finale. Now, I'm going to give you that number again. 50 million people tuned in to watch Richard Hatch claim the title of sole survivor in the first season finale. Now, the season that just ended, season 49, guess how many viewers tuned in for that? 4.45 million viewers. So in other words, 45 million fewer people since its debut, Survivor has aired 714 episodes and specials across about 15 countries and crowned 49 winners. Wow. Some people got way too much time on their hands. Way too much. Alrighty, I mentioned this in the live training room this morning. AI behemoth NVIDIA will report its fourth quarter results after the bell today. It is the most anticipated announcement of the earnings season. And the stock is up almost 2.5% ahead of that release. The news comes just a few weeks before the company is set to host its GTC 2026 event in San Jose, California, where it's expected to make a number of major product announcements. Now, keep in mind, the NVIDIA earnings could very well come in strong, better than expected even. But if the forward guidance is not what investors want to hear, guess what? It could be a huge rug pull. Now, the earnings will come out about 4 to 5 minutes after the stock market closes at 4 p.m. Eastern. Keep in mind, the futures market continues trading until 5 p.m. Eastern. That's when the Wednesday session officially ends for us. The markets will go quiet for an hour, and then tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, the markets will reopen, and that is the beginning of the Thursday session. So whether these earnings are a hit or a miss, it is the most anticipated announcement of the entire earnings season. It overshadows AMD, Meta, Microsoft, all of them. So normally the final hour of trading in the futures market is pretty quiet from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. However, today you might see a bit of an uptick in volatility. So just giving you a heads up. Whichever way it swings, I don't know. I don't care. I don't own any of it. but it will have an effect on the indices. U.S. stocks turned green today as Wall Street digested President Trump's State of the Union address and braced for the NVIDIA report this afternoon. With earnings still rolling on, eyes now are on NVIDIA. Also, we're going to get earnings from Salesforce and Snowflake. The reports arrive as investors reassess elevated tech valuations and scrutinize heavy AI-related capital spending by hyperscalers. AI disruption remains in focus, with spirits once again upbeat after AI startup Anthropic introduced new enterprise capabilities on its Claude platform, allowing integration with corporate applications such as Google Drive, DocuSign, and LegalZoom. Elsewhere, Circle stock, CRCL, surged by more than 20% today after reporting an increase in fourth quarter revenue. Home Improvement Group Lowe's beat analyst estimates, but shares fell as guidance fell short. Just remember, when these earnings reports come out, numbers are one thing, but it's that accompanying verbiage that really gets people's attention. Kind of like an FOMC. They raise them, they don't raise them, we get a little volatility. Then as they start to explain the story behind the story, that's when the markets can get real active. From Bloomberg, excessive sell-offs across sectors triggered by fears of artificial intelligence disruption create opportunities for stock pickers, according to Morgan Stanley strategists. You know Morgan Stanley, the people who sell you stocks? Oh, okay. Investors should seek out what the team referred to as AI incumbents, strong growers and high-quality names to take advantage of lower prices and momentum behind adoption of the technology. The investment case for AI adopters with high pricing power continues to strengthen. Okay. U.S. mortgage rates slipped last week to the lowest level since 2022, generating more refinancing activity. The contract rate on a 30-year mortgage dropped 8 basis points to 6.09% in the week ended February 20th, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association data released this morning. The rate on 5-year adjustable mortgages fell to 5.23%, also the lowest since September of 2022. And oil fluctuated near $66 as traders weighed the odds of a nuclear deal between the U.S. and Iran ahead of talks scheduled for tomorrow, with a huge deployment of American forces in the Middle East keeping the market on edge. You know, I guess Trump will probably, wait and see how tomorrow goes. But look for what could be a very erratic weekend. I'm sure most of you watched the State of the Union yourself last night. I stayed awake for the whole thing. I never could. When Obama did the State of the Union, I tried as hard as I could. I drank coffee. I did it, everything. Couldn't stay awake through the whole thing. When Trump was done, I couldn't calm down. The American economy is strong. That sounds simple, but in the current political climate, simple truths have a way of getting buried under argument and qualifications. I mean, my goodness, we only got to look back a year at the Joe Biden disaster we dealt with for 4 years. Trump has spent his first year in office, this term, trying to clean up the mess he was handed. Inflation at 40-year highs, amongst many other things. So it's worth saying plainly, by most meaningful measures, the first year of President Trump's second term has been good for the economy. The numbers say so, the markets say so, and for millions of ordinary Americans checking their retirement accounts, grocery bills, and paychecks, the feeling is sinking in. But you see, it's a hard battle because the legacy media will only tell you Trump bad, economy bad, Americans bad, America itself bad. Keep in mind that that's what the majority see. So many Americans saw last night and heard last night things that the legacy media hasn't shared with them. And now you've got the legacy media trying to cover their ass because the American people know. But legacy media is out there today telling them, no, that was all a lie. It's not true what he said. Manufacturing isn't coming back. People aren't investing in America, other countries. People aren't getting bigger tax returns. Gas isn't really under $2 a gallon in some places in America. They're working their tail off to cover all the lies they've told since President Trump took office. And you think they're going to stop? No, they're going to double down. Since the inauguration, the S&P 500 has climbed between 13 and 16%, touching an all-time high of over 7,000 earlier this year. The Dow crossed 50,000 this month for the first time in history. Inflation, meanwhile, has cooled. Annual inflation, as measured by the Consumer Price Index for the 12 months ending in January, came in at 2.4%, down from 2.7% and far removed from the Biden 9.1% peak, which was the highest reading in more than 40 years. Because inflation outpaced wage growth under Biden, the average weekly paycheck about 4% less when he left office, despite the paycheck being 17% larger. For the millions of households whose purchasing power was quietly eroded by Bidenflation, the recent drop in inflation is much needed relief. The average weekly paycheck now buys 2% more than when Trump took office. Retirement savers have felt it too. Average 401k balances have reached record levels, rising about 17% since the first quarter of 2025. One analysis found aggregate averages across multiple accounts are around $340,000. This is what compounded confidence looks like in the real world. The legislative cornerstone of this economic moment is the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, signed into law by President Trump on July 4th, 2025. Without it, Americans were facing what would have been the largest tax hike in history, more than $4 trillion hitting in 2026 when the 2017 Trump tax cuts expired. The One Big Beautiful Bill prevented that, making those rates permanent and expanding on them. According to the House Ways and Means Committee, the One Big Beautiful Bill leaves the average family about $1,700 better off each year, while a median income household with 2 children can expect an increase in take-home pay of roughly $4,000 to $5,000. I could go on, but we only have so much time. So Well, let's just do the deal. Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, but also crude, gold, and silver. We're currently in week 395. Over the last 395 weeks, we've issued over 21,500 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based simply on market structure. And that's a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. This week, since the markets opened Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, that's when we go to work, we've issued 38 Logic 247 alerts. At the time Valerie did the recap this morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, we were still waiting on the outcome of 11. That gave us 27 actionable alerts, of which 5 or 19% would have been stopped out, again based simply on market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. I think last week we had 2 stop outs all week, and I think on a percentage basis that was like 5%. You can double check it, it's posted in the discussion group. So here it is, middle of the week, and how we end the week, nobody knows. But again, over the last 395 weeks, or 394, we've averaged 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out. Again, based simply on market structure. No magic, no voodoo, no witchcraft. Now, 395 weeks is a long time, over 7 years. For quite a few years before we rolled out Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. Now, they're different in a lot of different ways. See, the Logic alerts, they're created to help you learn how to read the chart. CTAs have a different purpose. Logic alerts have an entry price, long or short, an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, additional targets in most cases, and then a final trade to target. If you never actually trade a Logic alert, then you should, as a member, be using them to learn how to read the chart. If you don't know where to anticipate resistance or where to anticipate support, how are you going to find the windows of opportunity where you'll find your best high probability, low risk trade opportunities? It's going to be tough. Now, the Logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. But the CTAs don't come out around the clock. Like I said, they're different in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'll just say the CTAs are typically posted. Guys, I'm going to have to put you on hold for just 1 second. This is one of the ones I got to grab. Sorry, guys. Won't bore you with all that. Anyway, the CTAs come out 5 minutes ahead of the Globex open each evening. So all of our traders had these targets 5 minutes before the market opened last night. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. Now we shall go to the daily chart of the S&P 500 E-mini futures. This is where we start each day with the charts. Having a big bullish day. President Trump really revved up those engines. And of course, we have those earnings reports that I mentioned this afternoon. Don't forget this crown of thorns over here. Okay, price opened last night below the BBC, but we're now well above it. However, in order to go from a bearish mindset, I mean, look at all the days we've spent below the BBC, to go from a bearish to bullish mindset, it takes more than just a close above the BBC. What we need to see is an open and a close above the BBC. Then we officially change our tune from bearish to bullish. That's just how it works and has always worked. All alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I chose years ago. And they say if it's not broke, leave it alone. The vertical line separates today Wednesday, here's Tuesday, here's Monday. These are the CTA targets that you were just looking at. Remember, all of our traders had them 5 minutes before the market opened, right here. This was the opening candle last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, the beginning of the Wednesday session. And by 7:30, we had hit the CTA long target. We then put in a high right here. So we hit some resistance at an area I would never typically anticipated. But price always reverts to the mean, and in our case, the mean is green. It's this green line. And as you can see, the pullback to the BBC, whether it pulls up from below or pulls down from above, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. However, eventually, price will trade through the BBC, as it did here. When price encounters a weekly trading zone, that's these horizontal lines. They're published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. That's how it's been now for over 16 years. When price rallies up to a weekly zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When price drops to a weekly trading zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. And then as we get up to this zone, 69.51/52, what do we expect? Resistance until proven otherwise. So we need to see a candle open and close above 51/52. Okay, it's all pretty simple. Just remember, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't, but eventually it will trade through. Okay, so again, this was the open last night, and during the 7:30 candle, we hit the long target, 69.08 on the Dow. Here's where we opened last night. We stayed above the BBC. You see the pullback held, and then right here in the wee hours, 5:30 a.m. Eastern this morning, we hit the long target, and we hit the zone, and we got a leg and a retracement. The pullback to the BBC held once again, and now we've got another leg that's trying to take us where? Up to the next zone. Price is always trying to get to a weekly trading zone. If price is above the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone overhead. If price is below the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. Pretty simple. Okay. Now, as we look across here, this is an outlier. We're almost at 545. You should look for potential resistance. Okay. After that, you got to look way up here. Is the market going to run that far today? Can't rule it out. I mean, it's possible. All things are possible. So you have to embrace all possibilities. On the Russell, here's where we opened, and by 8:30, the 8:30 30-minute candle, we had hit the long target. Then we get a pullback to the BBC, the pullback holds, and the pullback holds. Then we get the high of the session here, which if we look left, that double top right there, we failed to take that out. That's bearish. And look what happened. We caught a drop all the way back to here. Now we're back above the BBC. Look at red and falling. It's curling up, getting ready to turn into blue and climbing. That's bullish. So where should you look for resistance? You see right here where blue turned to red, 26, we'll call it 26.73. Then again about 26.75. And then again right here, 26.78. The NQ. Here's where we opened. And by 7:30, the 7:30 30-minute candle, we had hit the long target. Now that candle opened at 029. So it ran 40 points, $20 a point. That's $800 per contract traded right there in that little candle. Okay, so we got above the target and then pulled back to the BBC. If you go look left, you'll see why the market stopped climbing there. We get a pullback to the BBC, the pullback holds, and up we go. We consolidate again at the long target. Okay, and that long target is based off this right here, where blue turned to red, and this high. See it? It's just simple market structure. So we get a big leg, we get a retracement back to blue and climbing, but things have changed. Look on the way up, how the black step line and blue and climbing are running parallel to each other. But right here, the black step line crossed to the right side of blue and climbing. What does that tell us? The price may have seen its high for now, and we should look for a retracement back to the BBC. If we consolidate sideways a little longer, what will happen is the BBC will rise, and then you'll have support times 2, the BBC and the weekly trading zone, which is at 25,230/31. So be ready for that retracement. Okay. I don't foresee us taking out that high, but again, you got to embrace all possibilities. Okay. All right, crude oil. This was the open last night. We ran up to the zone, consolidated. We hit the long target to the tick. You see right here where the black step line crossed red and falling. See right there? I mean, it should just really stick out to you. And do you see how price hit it to the tick? That's why you need to learn how to read the charts and understand market structure. All right, guys. Michael's going to join us right now. And then I'll come back and finish this up.
There we go.
Did you send me a message in Telegram?
I did. I sent a message in Telegram too. Yeah.
I don't know why it didn't pop up. Anyway, all right. Sorry about that. Sorry to leave you waiting.
It's funny. It comes in with my son's name all the time because I don't put in his name. when I register. That's just weird.
I don't know.
Anyway, are you ready for me to take it? Or
Yeah.
do you want to go a little bit?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
All right, looks good.
All right, so let's go back here. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 25th day of February 2026. So if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for the trial. When you click on that purple button, it's going to bring you to this registration page where all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Down at the bottom, make sure you give us your TradingView login ID down there. Okay, once you give us that, we'll be able to get the indicators indicated for you on your desktop. Hit register. We don't get anything until you hit register, but once you hit register, we'll be able to help you out. Okay. Now, the results today, we didn't have that many trades, about just a little more than half of what we normally have. So it's not too bad considering that. And we stopped out on our very last trade. But the results today, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today's the 25th day of February 2026. We're up 94 ticks on the NQ, minus 15 on the Russell, plus 46 on the YM, plus 11 on the ES. That puts it at 762.50 on the morning session. Today it took 10 minutes and 7 trades to get to $1,100, and we took a total of 29 trades this morning. $1,100 with 10 contracts on, or 110 with 1 contract. We took 29 trades with 3 stop outs, so 89.66% of our trades this morning were break even or better. So on the month, that puts us at 19,527 over 17 days, averaging $1,188 per contract per 2-hour trading day. On the year, we're now at 42,552 over 35 days, averaging $1,215 per contract per 2-hour trading day. All right, the 24/20 blueprint, we're now at 8,207. That seems like it's, I don't remember being at 8,000 yesterday. But if we make this a 0, oh, we're at 7,987. Okay. This was 1,100. Oh, it's 2 contracts. That's why it is. That's why it went up so much. Okay. So $8,207 today. If you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day, you'd be trading 2 contracts now, and you'd be up $8,207, averaging $2,311 per hour. All right. We don't have a ton of trades to go through, so starting this part of it at 106 shouldn't be too bad. Should still have pretty good time to get some trades off. See, there weren't that many bars today. Normally it takes a long time to scroll all the way back to the beginning. Now, again, the markets were crazy for the first 15 minutes. So I didn't mark the first few trades. On the Russell, we had started out with a +1. Yeah, I guess I did do it on the Russell. We started out with a +1, and then we had a -15. That put us at -14. Then we had a +11. Yeah, +11, that got us to -3. Then we went to -2, then we went to +1. Then we went from +1 to +11, then to +14, and then we stopped out again, down to -1. Then from -1, we went to 0, and then we had some profit there, but I didn't write down what it was, and then we stopped out right there. So that put us at -15 on my books, but we had a little bit more than that. No trades on right now, but that was pretty quick. That was for the Russell. Now the YM. -15 was the low of the day on the Russell. 46 was the high of the day on the YM. I don't think we stopped that on the YM session. Okay. All right. So again, on the YM, the first few trades I didn't mark. We had a +1, a +2, and a +10. And then I think this is where I started marking it. We had a +8 to get us to 20. Went from 12 to 20 right there. Then went to 22. And from 22, we went to 25, 25 to 31, 31 to 43, 43 to 44, 44 to 46, Forex. And then I didn't fill in the last one. That's how we did it on the YM today. I didn't fill in both of those, either of those. Wow, I missed a lot here on the YM. Okay, well, I didn't fill in any of those. I'm guessing they're all +1, so probably. We don't have a trade right here, but we're pretty close to a trade on the YM right now. Okay, if we have a down close on this bar, it'll get us into the oversold, and we should hit the mid-band and bounce off it. Okay, similar situation on these two markets right now. So I'll do this. We'll go to 3. So we can watch the YM here and see if it gives us a trade. And I'll move all this stuff out of my way so I can get to the DOM if I have to. Here we are. We're on the YM now, and we just need an up close there. We'll have a trade. Okay. So the ES. Oh, that was all on the ES. That was already back to the beginning. On the ES, I did miss the first couple of trades. They were +1 and another +1 to get us to +2. This one right here is where we got the goal for the day. We had another +2. That got us to 4 on the ES. And then we had another +1. That got us to 5. And a +6. That got us to 11. I think that's all we did with the ES. And the ES is pretty close to a trade right here too. The YM hasn't triggered yet. It needs an up close. The ES is pretty close. So we'll go back to 4. And I'll have the NQ on the end over here. Now I'm just going to blow the NQ up. Okay. And we'll scroll all the way back to the beginning on the NQ. And the NQ, I don't think I missed any of the trades right at the beat. Oops, well, I'm already into yesterday. I tell it was not much going on today. Because that scroll is going all the way to yesterday. On the NQ, we didn't have a trade until right here. And when we did have that trade, it was a big one. We had 48 ticks on that trade. The next trade right here got us up to 72. And from 72 to 80, 80 to 84. And there was one more trade went from 84 to 94. Okay. And that was it on the NQ. You see how slow things are coming together here for everything. We need an up close here to have a trade on the YM, right? We needed to get down to hit the mid band on both of these, and neither one did. So the YM looks like the only one that might give us a trade right now. And there it is. There it is. So, okay. Let me say this part. This part, here it is. Not there. Here is where it is. If you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go to mytradingiq.com and click on the purple button. No credit card required for the trial. When you click on that, it's going to bring you to this page. I am in the YM. It's going to bring you to this page. On this page, all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Down here, gives you TradingView login ID. Hit the register button, and we'll get your stuff indicating on your charts so that you can get trading with us right away. YM's not working out right now. None of the other ones actually gave a signal yet, but here's the only signal that we had so far on the YM. It looks like it's going to stop us out. Yesterday, we ended up not recovering from the mistake that I made on the ES. This is not a mistake. This was correct. Valid trade. It just might not work out. The other markets are all in the green. Everything's in the green. We need a down close plus an up close on the Russell to have a long trade. This is going to stop us out. And, look at that, recovered. One tick away from stopping us out. Close above the midpoint right here. Be a positive thing, and up close on this bar. Russell needs a down close followed by an up close. These guys both need at least one down close. Okay, I didn't look in the question box yet. There are no questions in the question box. Okay, I didn't check the time today. 17 minutes, okay. That's pretty good. 17 minutes since I started 4 minutes late. I couldn't get logged in again. It gave me that same big message. That happens if I log out. I can't believe we're still in this YM trade. And a close on this bar would be a positive development. A close above the midpoint, the mid band right there, midline. The down's not giving us any helpful information either. These markets are just crawling. So there it is. That's the close we needed. This could actually turn into something now. This is the number it's going for. This is the high of the day. This is the first number it wants to hit. Then that one, then that one. Let's see what happens. All right, we're almost back in the money now. Does anybody have any questions about any of this stuff at this point? If we close back down below the midpoint, it's going to stop us out for sure. But I committed to the upside. Now I could have just gotten out there a break even a minute ago, but that never crosses my mind. Okay, we stayed above the midpoint on that pullback. That risk management worked by itself. I am so glad we figured out how to let that happen. Stop going to break even automatically and all that. I actually think it's helped my results. Because there's a lot of times where I wouldn't have been able to move it to break even or break even plus a tick. Or it would have ended up stopping me out. There's also a bunch of times that it took us out. There's also a bunch of times where it had taken me out to break even plus one where I would have stayed in. But good with the bad. So today, our first trade today was kind of like yesterday, except today is a minus 15. 3, 225. This. What do we have? 16 minutes, I think. Now, I change this to 53. It should change that number right above it. Okay. All right. So this is where we stand. Right. On the session, minus 750. So let's get back in there and see if we can get some of that back. The ES almost has a trade. The NQ almost has a trade. Okay, we now have 13 minutes left. The NQ is at the point where it should have a trade on an up close. Yes, could hit the mid band and give an up close, but the NQ just needs an up close. Okay, the S is pretty close, but it's not there. And Greg, that message I had for Greg in the last meeting, he got it all worked out. Didn't end up needing me after all. And look for the up close here on the NQ. is a 36.50. So you'd be buying 46.50. 10 points above the bottom. Just like that. Yes, it's still not off the mid-band, so that's not a trade. This was nothing over here on the YM. All right. The low has to see where it is. The order to see where it is. Slow. Yes, still hasn't hit the mid-band, but it still could. The YM could be a trade now on an up close. Russell still can't be anything. The NQ, the low is still in place, I think. 36.50, still in place. I don't remember, did we have something out here in the econ calendar? Crude inventories came in. Wow, that's a huge miss on the crude inventories. Huge miss. They're expecting to build a 1.8 million. You got to build a 15.98 million. 700% miss. Yeah, we don't really have anything else today. The YM can cancel that order. That's not going to happen. I'm beginning to think the NQ one's not going to happen either. It's taken so long. So nobody's got any questions? Guys. So it's really close to hitting mid-band, but it didn't. See. I think it's going lower. Now the S has hit the mid-band. Oops, can't see what that was. Okay, so we have potential trade on the NQ and on the ES. These guys right here look like they're both going to hit the YBR and flip down. It's bearish. The NQ is starting to come back. The S needs an up close, the NQ needs an up close. The Russell and the YM are going to flip the YBRs and they're going to move shorts over there. Russell for sure. The YM not yet. You see over here, it's just got to touch the YBR. It doesn't matter what direction the bar closes. Once it hits the YBR is going to change. It's going to flip directions. All right, the NQ is coming back to life. It didn't go any lower. ES is trying to come to life. Here's the ES trade. So we'll just have to wait. And if you haven't taken a free trial with us, go to mytradingiq.com. Sign up for the free trial there. Gives you TradingView login ID. If you don't have TradingView, you should go and get it. And you only need to get the essential version to have a couple of charts. You're going to have to pay for real-time data, though. The data is $7 a month. You got to be careful when you're signing up for TradingView. I just had a meeting with a fella who ended up, he logged in one time with one email and then logged in again another time with another email because it makes it so easy for you to log in using your Gmail or your Yahoo email. And he ended up opening accounts under each email and getting data under each email. Just gotta be careful you don't do that, because we only have information for one ID. So it's only going to work under one ID for us. This one flipped it. This is going to flip it now too. You see, I just hit it right there. So the YM is going to flip the YBR down. Yes, the low now on the ES. I think it just changed. It did. So 51.25 up to 53.25 on the ES. And 128.
That's great news, Jeff.
Trades were set for 8. So stood your entry and got filled soon. You should have. That's great, Jeff. That is good. Especially considering I'm hearing a lot of the opposite side of that story for a bunch of people today. The first half an hour of the last 2 days has just been weird. It hasn't been normal. It was so fast that I haven't been able to even draw the arrows on the charts and stuff like that like I normally do. Okay, you see I just made an adjustment here on this. And up close will be right here at 52.50, so we want to get filled there at 52.75. The NQ, the bottom, the low is still in the same place, 36.50. That hasn't changed. We're about to get short trades here on the YM and the YM and the Russell. Both of them are about to get short trades right now. So we got a long trade on the ES. Both of these are about to give us short trades. And we got a long trade on the ES. And we haven't triggered yet on the NQ, but the ES is not going to break even yet. It's going to go up one more tick. And we're going to break even automatically. We need a down close on both of these to have short trades. There it is. It's going to break even. Let's just lock in one tick on the ES. Okay. The Russell and the YM both need down closes. This is the one tick on the ES. And the NQ needs an up close. Russell and the YM both need down closes. And I don't know what we're going to end up with here. But we got one tick on the ES. So we got something. Okay, there's the down close on the Russell. We need the down close on the YM to go with it. Let's jump back here for just a second and put the 1 over here on the ES. 2. Back in here, there it is on the YM. Okay, so here it is on the YM. That one just went to break even. Here it is on the Russell. Lock in a couple on the YM and 10 on the Russell. No, 10 on the Russell. And I was going for a couple more on the YM. We still didn't get filled on the NQ though. It's -5 now. And the YM, where is that? Oh, I'm sorry. That is -13. Russell is +10. Okay. That's where we are. So we're pretty close to green again here. We just need to have another trade. Got a little bit on that one, a little bit on that one, a little bit on that one. We haven't triggered on the NQ yet. Which market tends to lead the others. It doesn't, there's not really one that does it consistently. You know, some days it varies from day to day. You know, like we have NVIDIA, Dwayne was saying earlier, with earnings tonight. Sure, that's playing a part in why the markets aren't moving right now. People probably want to get on the sidelines for that. So we're just waiting. We're just about break even on the session after 4 trades on stop out. $25. Yesterday we made a mistake. That's why we had that. We would have been positive yesterday just a little bit. Right now, we're still looking for an up close on the NQ. And this one made full cycle here. The YM made full cycle without putting in a lower swing. So it's just showing the chop that we're in. They tend to be all green right at the same time. They usually tend to go in the same direction eventually. So the way it is right now with half red and half green, that's unusual. Eventually, they'll all end up in the same direction.
On the days when you have mixed markets, Gordon, and I talk about this in the afternoon broadcast quite often. Like today, we had all green, but on the days when they're mixed, it's kind of like a tug of war. You don't have the same nice follow through that you typically have when they're all the same color. And we don't care if they're all red or all green because you can make money. In fact, if they're all red, typically the market drops faster than it rises because it takes financial commitment for price to rise. So,
yes. All the stuff that he said. But right now, if we look at the bigger picture, out here. Hang on a second. Move it out like that. Look at the bigger picture out here. Today, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. Right, so we had this huge day today, right? We got up above the BBC. Now we've been struggling with the BBC. The BBC's been acting as resistance all week, even since last week. Been acting as resistance, and so today we're way above it, right? With that irrational, with the exuberance. It's not really irrational exuberance. With the exuberance around the State of the Union.
51.52 is a weekly trading zone, and above that's 82.83 on the ES.
Up here at 51.52.
Yeah, that's the zone.
This level up here has acted as resistance quite a few times.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we make it above that, or up to that would be great. Up to that would be above the next zone too. So time will tell. All right, so we are getting a little follow through on the downside on these guys. And this did put in one tick lower swing, one tick lower movement on that bar anyway. This didn't have any follow through. It was just enough to get one tick out of it. And I wish I gotten two ticks. I think the NQ is going to change directions here. I think they're all going to change directions. These guys already have. And this isn't showing any strength here, and this isn't showing any strength here. So I think the weakness is going to start showing here in a minute. You look at the DOMs on the Russell. Down here. Even a little further. That number way down there, 64.2. It's got one way up here and one way down there. We're right in the middle of it. So, down here. What was that on? It was up at 69.6. So it's up here, down here. Just gonna trade what's in front of us. Right now the NQ is just not doing anything. Keep track of the low of that. It's now 34.25, so this should be down to 46. No, 34 should be down to 44.25. 10 points above the bottom of the bar. Okay, the YM just put in a new low right there. Not a new low on the day, but a new swing low. Russell hasn't quite done that yet. Oh crap, I didn't even realize what time it is. All right, so sorry guys, sorry Dwayne. I gotta wrap it up.
That's okay.
All right, so this is how we're gonna end up. Oops, not there. This is how we're gonna end up today, guys. Minus $25. So I'm gonna make it a wait day. Minus $25 in this session. We're plus 10 on the Russell. We were minus 13 on the YM. Plus 1 on the ES. We took 4 trades with 1 stop out, and we had 16 minutes. So in this session, so far in the 53 sessions that I've kept track of, we're averaging $150 per session and 14 minutes of trading per session. Okay, if you haven't taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com. mytradingiq.com and click on the purple button. You do that, brought to the registration page. Just fill it out. Okay, and that is it. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous James, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yep.
Excellent. Sorry, I ran over. Didn't realize.
That's okay. Recap of the morning session.
8 minutes, 7 trades, $3,300. I'm sorry, that was yesterday.
That was yesterday. I thought that sounded familiar.
Yeah. 10 minutes, 7 trades, $1,100.
Again, good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we left off with crude oil, and crude found support at the weekly trading zone, published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. As you can see, price goes from zone to zone, back to the zone, back to the zone, over and over, again and again. When price drops to a zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. We hit the long target, we hit the short target. Now, I covered the other markets, the ES, the Dow, the Russell, the NQ. I covered them in granular fashion, along with crude oil already. So if you missed any part of today's broadcast, when I sign off, go to youtube.com/CFRN, and you can watch all of today's broadcast in its entirety if you missed any part at all. Gold, here's where we opened last night, and in the first 30-minute candle, we dropped to the short target. Remember, all of our traders and trial members had these targets 5 minutes before the market opened last night. So on gold, we opened don't know why that's doing that, but it is. So nothing I can do about it. Looks like we opened around 51.59 down to 48. So call it 10 points. It's $1,000 per contract traded, just to the target in the first 30-minute candle. When the market finds support, as it did right here, where red turned to blue, support will always send the market looking for resistance. And up we go, and we come just shy of the weekly zone at 52.14/15. Resistance. Now, you can see that this high right here, even though it didn't quite touch the zone, it aligned perfectly with this one right here. CME, Globex, natural gas futures, and option markets will pre-open at 12:45 Central Time and open at 12:50 Central. I have no idea what that's about. Huh. Something's going wonky here. Oh well. So where do we go? Up. And we hit this high right here. That's this high right here. That's market structure. So then we get a retracement, another leg up. That takes us above the zone. And we run into resistance at an area I would not have anticipated, that specific price point. But that's where the market found resistance. You got to trade what's in front of you. So it sent price back to the BBC support. Yeah, something's wonky with the charts. Bounced up into red and falling, resistance. That sent us back to the top side of the long target support. That sent us back to the weekly zone, back to the BBC. And now you see where we currently are. Trading roughly 52.27. And last but not least, silver. Here's where we opened last night, and in the first 30-minute candle, we dropped to the weekly zone at 86.78/79. Support will always send the market looking for resistance, which it found. Now, you only need 2 pennies in silver to get your goal for the day. So we had a leg, a retracement, back to the top side of the long target, and we hit the zone. And as I said earlier, one of 3 things happens when price encounters a zone. 70% of the time, it's consolidation. 20% of the time, rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. So, at this point here, blue turned to red. We went back to the BBC for support. We got a leg, we got a retracement, and on both of these. Now, these zones were published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change. So we even though we come all the way down in both cases and touch the zone, which we expect to be support, we close that 30-minute period back above the VBC, and in this case, we actually close it green. So then we come back, price always reverts to the mean. And in our case, the mean is this green line right here. We call it the VBC. It just stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above the green line, we expect higher prices. When price crosses below the green line, we anticipate lower prices. It's very simple. So the high of the session stands up here. Roughly 91.16, give or take. And we're currently trading 90.99 half. Which brings us back to the daily chart. Price still trying to get back to that 50% fib extension. Notice that the 24% fib extension, see how it held its support across here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trading days. That's been my reluctance to change the fib extensions. I know I keep saying I'm going to change them, and we're going to go from here to the all-time historic high to this retracement low here. Okay, and I'll try to make time in tomorrow's broadcast to get it done. To become a member, email Valerie support@cfrn.net. Just let her know you want to become a member. She'll send you all the information you need to get signed up. And we'll wrap it up with our good word for the day. Sacrificial living. Romans 12:1. Present your bodies a living sacrifice to God. With the national coffers depleted from a series of costly wars, King Frederick William III of Prussia found his nation seriously short of funds as it attempted to rebuild. He refused to capitulate to his enemies and couldn't face disappointing his people. He asked the women of Prussia to bring their gold and silver jewelry to be melted down and used in exchange for the things the nation desperately needed. As each woman brought her jewelry, she was given a declaration of iron as a symbol of the king's gratitude. On it was inscribed the words, "I gave gold for iron, 1813. The women came to prize their gifts from the king more than their former jewels. Their decorations were proof they had sacrificed for their king. In fact, it became highly unfashionable in early 19th century Prussia for women to wear jewelry, but very fashionable to wear a cross of iron. It was from this that the Order of the Iron Cross was established. There are two sides to the Christian life, blessing and sacrifice. Paul said in Philippians 3:8, everything else is worthless when compared with the infinite value of knowing Christ Jesus, my Lord. Jesus spelled out the cost of discipleship. In Matthew 16:24, Jesus said, if anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. And the hymnist wrote a few hundred years ago, take up thy cross and follow me. I hear my blessed Savior call. How can I make a lesser sacrifice when Jesus gave his all? And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.